Hello, everyone, and welcome to MeowMix, a Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steven.
My name is Jerry.
All right, everybody, we have a special guest with us today, the newest, I believe, beat writer for the Carolina Panthers, for the Charlotte Observer, Jonathan Alexander. Jonathan, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining us.
I'm pretty good. I appreciate y'all inviting me. I'm excited to be here.
That's great. You got kind of kick us off here for those of us, or for those that haven't read your sort of intro article on the Observer, which I greatly encourage everyone to go do. Just give us a little information about yourself and how you became to be the newest beat writer for the Panthers.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Charlotte, born and raised. Went to school in Durham with the North Carolina Central University, and after I graduated, I got a job at the News and Observer, and I worked there for 7 years. And among the jobs I had, among the beats I covered were Duke and Carolina football and basketball. And I did that for about 3 years, and kind of had always had on my mind that I wanted to cover a professional team. Whether that was NBA or NFL, which were my two preferences. I wanted to do one of those. And then the opportunity to cover the Panthers came open, and it was within the company. I'd love to stay within the company. So that opportunity, I went for it. And it took a while because I don't know if y'all know, but with the newspaper industry, there's a lot of stops and starts. So it took a while, and then finally they asked me, did I want to interview for it? And I, basically said, heck yeah, and interviewed for it and got the job, and excited to be here, excited to come back home, excited to cover, the NFL, the most watched sport in America.
Are you a Panthers fan growing up? I assume being around here?
Growing up, yeah, I went to games when I was young. That's natural being in Charlotte and watching the NFL. Of course, over time, when I started covering sports and when I had the goal to cover the NFL, I had to put that fandom aside.
Right.
With every beat, I want to be objective and I want to look through that lens. But the good thing about it is, I kind of know the pulse of the fan base, and I kind of, I know, how they feel about the history and how they feel about the current team. So I think that's going to help me in this job.
And you're kind of coming into the Panthers organization in a transition too. So are you kind of looking forward to growing with the new team, how it is with Matt Rule's reign?
Yeah, definitely. Being that it's almost a brand new team, there are a lot of new faces. So we're kind of on a level playing field and meeting everybody. I'm the new guy, they're the new guys. So yeah, I'm excited to do that and learn. I had kind of experience with that in covering Carolina. When Mac Brown and his staff came along, it was, his first year there. It was my second year. I was still the newest writer on that beat. So, I got a chance to grow with them, and I think there's the opportunity to grow with the Panthers as well as they, start this new era.
Yeah, like Jerry said, a new reign for the Panthers, but you're also coming in at a crazy time for the world in general with the pandemic going on, and in this country with the social justice, all the protests and the sports.
COVID.
Yeah. Well,
let's just go cut to the chase. COVID is so huge right now.
COVID is huge. But are you sort of? Is it kind of a bummer, I guess, to start your job here with all this non-sports stuff affecting the sports world, affecting everybody, or do you sort of look at it as an opportunity to really explore this in a different way?
I think both. I think on one side, I love being able to meet people face to face, being able to shake hands, being able to physically go to the games and experience the atmosphere. And that same atmosphere isn't going to be there. But on the other side of things, it'll be the most interesting season in the history of the NFL. So we'll get the opportunity to see new things, tell different stories, and I'm excited about that. And nobody has experienced this ever,
Right.
Yeah.
except maybe like in the early 1900s. But still, like nobody has experienced this and what's going on. Nobody who's alive has experienced this. How about that?
Right.
And we get a chance to see how that goes. So I'm excited on one part and a little disappointed on the other part. And we'll
And
see.
have they kind of told you like what their availability for you is going to be, or is it still up in the air?
I think there have been some, excuse me, some ideas kind of floated around. You know, I think at training camp, we're probably only going to speak to people via Zoom. And, if that happens, then I would assume that would be for the rest of the season. So we're not going to probably have much face to face time with the players. And that part is a little bit discouraging, but, we all have to do it. We all have to make do with what we have.
Yeah, that was going to be one of the questions I was going to ask, was just how are you sort of preparing for this season? And then secondly, how is it different preparing for a professional sports season versus preparing for a college sports season?
That's a good question. Well, I'm having to do a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of text messages, a lot of phone calls. So that part is while I did that when there wasn't the coronavirus, I can't meet people, and it's really easy to form a relationship when you can see somebody face to face, of course. And I'll miss that. The difference between preparing for an NFL season and a college season, the difference between the NFL and college is in college is a lot more controlled. You're not really allowed to, talk to players without the permission of the SIDs. And maybe to some degree that happens in the NFL. However, these men, they are men and they can make the decision for themselves. So I'm doing a lot more talking to players before I start, this beat. Where in college, I would probably do a lot more talking to the coaches first, and not having the advantage of knowing the players unless they had already been there when I was on the beat. So just kind of preparing, that part is a little different. And I'm totally prepared for the NFL because it's being that it's more fast paced. So I have to be on my P's and Q's and prepare and kind of, plan out things just a little bit more than what I do if I was covering the college beat.
And with you've already been talking to the players. Has any of the like newcomers or anything really stand out, or anybody kind of stand out while you've talked to them so far? Or
I like one of the players I've talked to was Stanley Thomas Oliver, and he has a good personality. I think he seems kind of you know not very loud or but you can tell he's deep in where he's come from and kind of his backstory, which I hope to write a story on him pretty soon. It's very interesting. Talked a little bit to Trey Boston. We have that Carolina connection.
Oh, yeah.
Carolina, he went to Carolina, so we can talk that same language. I hadn't talked much to him, but talked a little bit. Talked to Russell Okung, very intelligent person, and I didn't really realize. I mean, people told me he was an interesting guy, but when you kind of just listen to him and break down, you're like, oh, this guy's smart. I better know what I'm talking about when I'm talking to that guy. And I talked to a few others, Jeremy Chin briefly. So yeah, it's so far so good.
We're Jerry and I are both big Jeremy Chin guys
Oh, yeah.
here, so we're very much looking forward to seeing him this season. In your talks with the organization in general, not just the players, but the coaches and other staff, how are they feeling about the COVID situation and the way the NFL is preparing? Are they comfortable with, I've seen a lot of stuff where the players are not super comfortable with how the NFL has gone about listening to the experts and the testing that, is potentially being proposed. What sense are you getting from them as to their comfort level?
Yeah, I haven't had an opportunity to speak with the coaches yet. Hopefully that'll come next week is what I've been told. As far as the players go, they're extremely concerned that the NFL hasn't come up with the guidelines, or they hadn't come up with the guidelines for safety. They finally got a little bit of understanding. But, these players are worried. They have families back home. And if they catch the coronavirus and unknowingly and they take it back home, they're worried about that in particular. A lot of people are worried about them. And some people really don't really have a choice, especially if you're one of those undrafted guys or you don't make a lot of money and you're really trying to impress, your coaches and make the roster. A lot of people don't have that choice to stay home, even if they're super concerned about it. So a lot of guys are concerned. A lot of guys want answers. A lot of guys want to feel safe and feel like, they won't be harmed in any certain way. I was just reading, Von Miller's interview with the Washington Post and how he was trying to, warn people that this is a serious virus. Even somebody as healthy as him, got serious symptoms from COVID, and he has asthma, and he dealt with breathing problems and other symptoms. And I think guys probably see that, and that fuels in their concern as well.
Yeah, and not wanting to bring it home to their families.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's a huge thing. I live with my family, my mom and my dad right now. As I first got here, and they're in their early 60s, and I worry about them, me going out, and what if I catch it? So I try to be as careful as possible, and I know these guys worry about those same things.
Yeah. Do you have any sense if anyone is thinking about sitting out the season or opting out of the season? I don't know if they're really saying that yet or not, but any sense from that?
I haven't got a sense. And when we talk to the Players Association, the representatives at the Players Association, it seemed like maybe they had some talks, but they said they weren't aware of anyone who would formally opt out of the season. So I would think that players are still thinking about it, but have not made a decision as to whether they'll opt out yet.
Is there anything in this NFL proposal that you've seen that allows for opting out with, not massive pay cuts or anything like that? I know like baseball and the NBA sort of have the option for the players, right? But the NFL, I don't know. Have you seen anything about that?
I don't think anything has been official. Some things have been thrown out there, but I think that they're trying to figure out the financials because I'm sure that they could take a pay hit if they do opt out of the season. And I know the NFL, wouldn't, and the owners wouldn't, be happy about that, and they have a lot more control than say the NBA's owners or the MLB's owners. Right. So I know that will be that right now is a hot topic and one of the things that they're trying to work out.
I have a question more along the lines of just fun Panthers. He keeps bringing up all this like serious stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is not going to be. Yeah. I even tried to change my background for your future here. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. With the position battles in training camp, is there anyone that you're particularly kind of interested to see how it plays out?
Yeah, I'm interested to see who's going to be opposite of Trey Boston. I'm thinking Jeremy Chin has that chance. He has that opportunity, but that's going to be interesting. I think, with Green coming in there, I'm trying to and they say that they value Curtis Samuel's ability to do a lot of different things. I want to see how he still fits in with Robbie Green coming in there. So that's one position battle. I don't know exactly how the defense is going to look. So whether they'll run more of a 4-3 or 3-4 or multiple fronts, I need to do more research on that. But you'll have we know two of the linebacker starters, and I'm wondering who the third guy is if they do run that. So they seem to have the defensive line kind of pretty set. I know Derek Brown's going to be a terror over there, opposite of KK if he can get healthy. So among those, that secondary in particular, I think has a lot of questions, and they need to know who is going to be the starter for sure in that safety and that opposite cornerback spot.
Yeah, that's something we talked about a lot is, it seems like the secondary is definitely the biggest question mark on the team. We obviously drafted some guys that could help in the secondary, especially opposite maybe Dante Jackson at corner.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on a rookie that might surprise, or I think we're expecting Derek Brown, of course, to be pretty good from day one. But any of these guys, second round on, that are just going to shock Panther fans?
I mean, just like y'all said earlier, the guy Jeremy Chin. I just think he was doubted most of his career, wasn't seen much, and he went to Southern Illinois and he impressed. A huge reason for him being doubted was because he was undersized in high school, 5'7", grew to 6'3". So when he was 5'7", he had that speed, right? He was able to learn certain things and have that toughness because he had to compensate for that loss of height. And then you get that height, and then you only keep that speed, and you only keep that toughness. So I think, and a lot of people say great things, Tyrann Mathieu, Charles Woodson, when you have endorsements from those two people, this kid's going to be good. I've seen some of the highlights. I like the way he moves. I think he's going to be a big guy for the Panthers and has that potential to start. So he's that one guy.
Yeah. I know he had a lot of measurables that were very comparable to Isaiah Simmons, who of course went in the top 10.
Yeah.
And a lot of Panthers fans, including us, were kind of hoping that we would draft him if he fell to us. Yeah. But it seems like he might be sort of that exact same type of player, just at a much
same
cheaper
speed,
price, essentially.
Higher jumping ability. Yeah.
And I saw Isaiah Simmons play live.
Yeah.
When Carolina played Clemson, and he is a freak of nature. Yeah. Like, I was amazed. There are some individuals that you see play and you go, oh, he's got it. Like, that's not normal. And Isaiah Simmons was one of those guys.
Well, hopefully Jeremy Chin will do that as well.
Yeah. We'll see. He looks like he has that ability.
Any UNC guys that either came out or might be coming out this year that people are sleeping on?
Any UNC guys that people are sleeping on? Let's see who got drafted. Charlie Heck got drafted in the 4th round. Jason Strowbridge got drafted, I think, in the 3rd round. Or no, Charlie Heck was 5th. Jason Strowbridge was 4th. I like Jason Strowbridge. I think he has potential. He was really good for Carolina, and when he was out, they were terrible in stopping the run. Charlie Heck has incredible size. He's 6'7", and that's what you want to see in your offensive lineman. He got better as the season, as his career went on. It's still, I'm sure he still has a lot to learn. His dad's offensive line coach for Kansas City Chiefs, so he can, pick that up. But I like Jason Strowbridge. He's somebody, to watch, and they got some guys who are going to come out next year as well who can be pretty good. So, we'll see about that.
Do you have something now?
Well, I was just going to ask, do you have any sense of what your game day, routine is going to be? Not necessarily just this year, although certainly I think this year will probably be different. But on a normal game day, are you on the field? Are you in the press box? Are you at home watching like the rest of us? What's the game day routine for an observer reporter?
Yeah, on a normal day, I'm not even sure they allow us on the field during the game, but even if he did, I probably wouldn't do that because back in college, we were allowed on the field. I went to a small school in North Carolina Central, and I got hit one time because I was too close to the sidelines.
Oh,
and I was taking photos. I was taking photos, so that's where I was down there. But I said I'll never be on the field again. I got thrown about 10 feet.
wow.
But yeah, I'm in the press box. That's typical. Protocol, being in the press box, seeing it from up high.
Mhm.
I'm sure this year we'll social distance. We'll have more seats in between us. And there'll probably be less people in the press box, unfortunately. But I know I'll be up there and watching the game from there, and in a much quieter, setting than normal.
What's the deadline usually for you to get your, game day thoughts out? Are you expected to get it within a couple hours of the game ending, or how does that normally work?
Yeah, for me, and I'm sure it's the same at the Charlotte Observer because it's the same company. We have to have a quick story based on what happened right after the buzzer. So like quick,
Ooh.
very soon. So we're writing during the game.
Yeah.
And then usually with my other job, my old job, we did an analysis. After doing the interviews and kind of analyzing, what happened and looking back to what happened, we analyzed the game. And any future stories that we may see, any interesting features that we can turn around pretty quickly. We may do that the next day. It might be a little easier. I was a solo one-man crew on, when I was covering Carolina, and I get Atlanta Getzenberg, who's a really, terrific reporter and writer. So we'll get to split that up and possibly do more things on game day.
Okay. Is Scott Fowler still?
Yeah, Scott Fowler, still covers the team as a columnist, so he'll have his opinion out there. He always gives strong opinions. I used to read Scott Fowler when I was a kid, picking up the newspaper. I know that makes him feel old, but
Yeah, he's a legend, man.
Yeah, he really is.
I was kind of reading your bio again today, and seeing you say, when you're 8 and 9 years old, picking up paper, reading him and Tom Sorensen, and I was just thinking, yeah, me too. Like, and now, like, my kid, when he gets to be that age, he's going to be picking up the paper, reading you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's got to be a pretty cool feeling.
I mean, that's awesome to even think about, man. Yeah. Anytime somebody told me they read me when I was covering Carolina, it still was kind of like a, oh wow, like you read me. I don't know why I never got used to that, hearing that. So that's an honor to even think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all read him, Scott Fowler and Tom Sorensen. So yeah, you're gonna be one of those guys.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And I respect those guys so much, tremendously.
So with you growing up here in Charlotte, I wanted to ask, what is your best Charlotte moment as a kid?
Oof.
Sports moment, I should say.
In the sports building. Okay. So this didn't even. This is so small, and it's really small. But I just remember when. Do y'all remember what year Shaq went to the Heat?
Was it 2004?
Yeah, 2004. Yes. So it was his very first year. We were at a Hornets game. Or was it Bobcats at that time?
It was Bobcats at that time.
I was unfortunately Bobcats.
Yeah, no wonder they took our whole class. But I just remember, I guess I was 13, 14. Probably 14. And I remember it was a bunch of us, my classmates, sitting together, and Shaq wasn't playing, and we were kind of almost near the bench, and we were screaming, Shaq, 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 and we probably yelled his name probably 10 times. He finally looked and waved at us, and that was just so kind of cool, just to see him kind of wave at us and acknowledge us.
Yeah.
But I remember that clearly, and I remember going to the Hornets games too when I was young, and something about NBA. I was thinking about this yesterday. It was something about the NBA games and how it's like a performance. They have the music, and I haven't been to an NBA game in a while. I definitely missed that for sure. Had a lot of good memories watching the Hornets.
Yeah, definitely. I love football and love watching football, but there's something about being in a basketball game
Yeah,
live that is just like the energy and
yeah,
gosh, it's intoxicating. I love it.
yeah,
Especially like the energy can go up and then it goes really up if
Yeah.
it's at the end of the game. And
yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely.
who's your favorite Panther of all time?
Oh, absolutely. I grew up. My era. Any guys who are like about 40 right now, it's like my era when I was
Yeah.
peak loving players. So when I was growing up, Steve Smith was that guy. Like he got the energy flowing. He got you excited. It's definitely 100% without a doubt Steve Smith.
Were you as heartbroken as the rest of us when
Oh
he
yeah,
went
yeah.
to the Ravens?
I was definitely hurt. When I saw that he was that franchise.
yeah,
And you could tell he still had something in him. Not to the degree that he played his first,
Yeah.
2 years at like I didn't see that. But you still could see that he could contribute in some way.
yeah.
Watch the Panthers just like cut him without,
Mm.
a thought about it.
I think he
That was,
had 2,000-yard seasons after he left us in Baltimore.
oh my goodness. And that first season was just like, I remember that first game he had a touchdown and like stiff arm Adam Pac-Man Jones, and it was just so mean.
Yeah. And every time he played against us, he just destroyed us. I mean, I remember 150-yard games against us at least twice.
Absolutely. Like he was, when you doubt Steve Smith, he's gonna prove you wrong.
Yep. Have you met him
I
yet? He's
you
kind
know
of
what's,
around the team now, right?
what's funny? I haven't met him in a long time, but I was doing an internship when I was in high school, I think 11th grade, after my 11th grade year, and I was interning at a TV station. Kelly and Bruce, I can't remember their last name, but so I went to training camp. This was right after Steve Smith punched Ken Lucas,
Mm.
and I remember seeing Steve Smith walking by himself after he did a press conference. And I said, "Hey, Mr. Smith." And then he kind of looked at me and was wondering what I had to say. Maybe he thought I was going to ask him a question. And I said, "I just want to introduce myself to you." He said, "Okay." And I think he shook my hand and then kind of walked away. And I'm sure he was like going through a lot at that time. But so I did meet him when I was in 11th grade, but hadn't spoken to him since.
Yeah. Well, it seems like he's sort of patched up his misunderstandings, I guess, with the organization, with Tepper
Yeah.
coming in. And so,
Gettleman gone.
hopefully he'll be around. Yeah, Gettleman gone. Oh,
Gettleman was something, wasn't he?
Oh, so glad he's gone. Even
Yeah.
my dislike of Marty Herney, I am still glad Gettleman is gone.
Yeah. He was something.
Well, Jerry, you got any other questions?
No, I just want to say thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. This was fun. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate it. And everybody go check out Charlotte Observer's website. Like I kind of mentioned earlier, Jonathan's got a good article out about what you can sort of expect from him as a Panthers beat writer. It's really good. And then you've got a few articles out now. I noticed a lot of them kind of deal with COVID. So like, how excited are you to sort of start writing about actual football again?
Yeah, I can't wait. We haven't talked to the players and, we haven't had availability with the players since I've been here. So, it's just been kind of analyzing, and a lot of discussions have been based around COVID. So, I'm sure when the players get here, we get to talk more than COVID. We'll get to talk about COVID, but we'll get to talk a little more about COVID as well. So I'm super excited about that.
We're super excited to read about it, man. So
Yeah.
welcome, back to Charlotte, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you again soon.
Yeah, definitely. Just hit me up anytime.
All right. Thanks, Jonathan.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Take care, y'all.
All right.
See ya.